Welcome to the 30-Minute Hour. It's the personal development podcast for entrepreneurs who are looking to level up and become unstoppable. I'm your host, Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. Joining me as always, you know him as the super CEO, the business strategist extraordinaire, and all-around good guy, Ted Fells.
Happy Monday.
Yes, indeed. It is a happy Monday.
Monday. You know, Mondays are always crazy, Eric. Meetings stacked up on top of each other. Just squeeze them in there. We just squeeze them in there. We just squeeze them in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is about our 12th time seeing each other today, Ted.
Right.
Oh, man. Well, as you can tell, this is not your everyday podcast.
No. Did you tell Jason?
No, I didn't get a chance to share that with him. I
He
should
thought
have
this was a
warned
video. Yeah, we do a little different.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
we do things a little different.
Right, okay, so I'm going to be surprised and shocked and deeply uncomfortable.
Just roll with it. Just roll with it. Just roll with it.
We actually get that a lot, Jason. They say I'm deeply uncomfortable. So that's
right.
Right, okay. This is my safe sign.
right.
That's right. That's good to know.
There you go. Well, certainly you can watch us live on the Facebook page, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, just by going to the 30-Minute Hour. Later, you can go back and listen to the replay of this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all those good places where you like to listen to your podcasts. So moving the needle is a big theme for us, right? Like today, the theme of our show is we're going to talk about 5 digital strategies that can move the needle for you. We also have a Moving the Needle in Your Business Summit, Ted, that's coming up. That's right. It's coming up this coming Saturday, July 16th.
This Saturday?
This coming Saturday.
Wow. Who knew?
Man, time flies when you're having fun.
Mm-mm-mm.
So make sure you join us for the Moving the Needle in Your Business Summit. This coming Saturday, July the 16th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern. It's a virtual summit.
What else you got to do on the Saturday?
Right.
I mean, brunch. You do that all the time. Gym, all the time.
That's right.
Come to the summit.
You can get life-changing information at this summit. And it's free.
Free.
It's free.
Free. It's free.
Absolutely. We've got Chantel Powell, who is the founder of Play Pits Deodorant. This brand that started on her kitchen table. She's now on the shelves of Target, and she's been interviewed on CBS this morning with Gayle King. And we also have Carl Gould, who's going to be doing a presentation. And Carl is an entrepreneur, #1 best-selling author. He started and sold 3 multi-million-dollar businesses before he turned 40. And we have a nice panel discussion. We have the contributing authors to the What Now Mindset book. They're going to be talking about how they use the What Now mindset when they encountered a What Now moment in their life. Make sure you check it out. You can go to the whatnowmovement.com site and click on events and make sure you register. All right. Now that we've gotten that out, it's time to bring on our special guest. Our guest is hailing all the way from France.
Yeah.
From France. So the question that's out there is, are your digital marketing strategies moving the needle in your business?
They are, yes. And I've been working online since 1998. I started a cartoon with a blue dog and a yellow koala. We moved the needle. By 2004, we were making decent sums of money. And now I've started a new company, and we're really starting to move the needle in what we're doing, which is what we call in SEO entity optimization. It's all about who you are, what you do, and who your audience is in the digital sphere, and communicating that to Google and the other major big tech companies.
So yeah, we definitely we know you're moving the needle. The question is, are our followers are their current strategies moving the needle? But no, that's a good that you provided that little heads up with information. Because so you're the Brand SERP Guy. Yeah, like we said, you're joining us from France. You're the author, digital marketing consultant, podcast host, and you specialize in brand SERP optimization and knowledge panel management. Please join me in welcoming to the 30-minute hour podcast, Jason Barnard.
Thank you very much. That's delightful. I actually answered the last question. It wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to the audience. So I've already messed this up from the start. Thank you.
No mess up at all. No, I think that's a thing. A lot of people are doing a lot of different things from a digital marketing standpoint that may not be moving the needle. So hopefully they can lean in today. You're someone who's been there, done that, and you've got the t-shirt and coffee mug. So you know what works. You've been studying this for a long time, and you can help a lot of people in our audience to move the needle in their business. But I want to give people the complete perspective on this. So you graduated from Liverpool, John Moores University. So when you were in school in those days, what were your career plans? What did you think you would be doing?
Right. Yeah. Well, I did a degree in economics, but I really didn't pay much attention. I was too busy playing in a blues band with my friend Dave. And my ambition was to be a musician. And I was only doing the economics degree to get kind of through a system in the UK at the time that was pretty friendly to people who just wanted to get through an education system. And at the end of the degree, they were saying 40% of you are going to be, accountants, 20% are going to be business owners, 20% are going to be teachers, 20% are going to be something else, and then 3% are going to do something completely off the charts. And I was going, I'm going to be in that 3%. I want to be a musician. So, I wasn't in a particular career path. I ended up being a musician and, in fact, a business owner at the same time.
Interesting. Yeah. So we're getting a little bit of feedback, Jason, on your end.
Is it on my end? I can hear something from. Hang on, I'll put myself on mute and see if that changes anything.
Jason, I think you sound fine over here, so I don't know.
Okay, I was just hearing a little bit of feedback there. All right. So what advice would you give to your younger self? You could go back in time and talk to your younger self back when you were at university. What advice would you give yourself based off of what you know now?
I think to be more courageous, to take what I believe in, take what I'm producing. In that case, it was music, so it was creativity. And then after that, it was the blue dog and yellow koala. Be more courageous with it and believe in what I'm trying to do. And you get loads of knockbacks. Both of those careers, and even this career now, lots of people saying, nah, it's not going to work. We've already seen two characters together in a cartoon. That's not interesting. We've already seen a music group that plays double bass and mandolin and guitar. Not interesting at all. And you have to not fight against them, but you have to fight for your corner and stick to it and be courageous and push yourself out there, because the people who are talking to you actually haven't paid enough attention to what you're doing to understand what it is you're trying to achieve.
Oh, that's great advice. As a matter of fact, I think the knockback that you hear is a sign that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Right. If everybody's always encouraging all the time, you probably aren't doing something that's outside the box.
Very, very good point. I mean, if everyone's saying, I understand that straight away and you're absolutely on the right path, it means they've seen it hundreds of times before and you're not doing anything different. And so you're just going to kind of blend into the masses. And exactly. As soon as you say, here's something I'm doing and there's something slightly different, people don't get it. And so you either need to keep talking to convince them, or at least, and what I would say is build your corner for yourself so you don't depend on the other people.
So I'm sure anyone that has, come up with anything, there was someone that said they couldn't do it. Yeah, someone said that, right? That don't try it, it's not going to happen, you should do something else, it's going to be difficult. That means you have to lean into it, figure it out.
100%. And then I woke up on Saturday morning and I thought, I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing. I'm not sure this is the right path, and I'm quite a long way down the path. And I think also we all have self-doubt. We all think maybe this isn't the right path. And it's great to have people around you who encourage you. I was talking to a friend of mine and she was saying, you are right. This is the right path. You are making the right decisions. So having those people around you to support you and encourage you is phenomenally important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because there's somebody that's watching us, listening to us right now. They're hearing the doubt and they may be feeling discouraged. So now you know to keep stepping, because this is just all a part of the process.
Yeah. Whoever that person is that's telling you can't do it, they don't need to cut them off. They don't need to be your friend anymore. Okay? Get another friend. No, I'm joking.
But also, if you've got a friend who's doing something and you think they need encouragement, or they don't seem 100% sure of themselves, support them, encourage them. I mean, obviously, we all hang out with people who are reasonably similar to ourselves. So you presumably have friends who are also trying to push through something new. Encourage them, and don't forget that you needed encouragement. They need encouragement.
Good point.
No, that's great. Two-part question. So question number one, what exactly is a brand SERP? And then part two to that is, like, how did your journey to becoming the Brand SERP Guy begin?
Right. Well, great question. Great double-headed question. The Brand SERP, SERP, is the search engine results page. So the Brand SERP is what appears when your audience Google your brand name or your personal name. So it's your Google business card, basically. So once you've got those people down the bottom of the funnel and they're searching your brand name because either they're a prospect or they're a client, then you need to make sure that Google business card looks absolutely perfect, positive, accurate, and convincing. And the second part of that question is, how did I get into that? It's because I was a blue dog in a cartoon. And when I was pitching digital marketing gigs and I was trying to get work as a digital marketer within the sphere of brand search, people would search my name and they would see Jason Barnard is a blue dog. And they wouldn't want to work with me. So what I then had to do is ensure that Google represented me as a professional digital marketer. And the blue dog would then take, obviously it's still there, but it's not the most important part of my life today. It's part of my past. So I had to educate Google like you would educate a child about what I'm doing today, what's important to my audience today, as opposed to what it had understood about my yesterday, if we're talking about the Beatles, which we were earlier on, Eric.
Good point.
Absolutely. So how did you acquire the level of expertise that you gained in this field?
Yeah, it's a lovely question. In fact, I've got a lot of clients, so I work with them. But obviously, you can't experiment on clients. You can only do to clients what you're pretty sure of. So you need to make sure that it works because they're paying you and you can't take risks. And I'm lucky because I was in this music group and we recorded multiple music albums. I was in the cartoon and there were multiple characters of a TV series, is that I could work on the Google business card of each and every character and each and every album and the music group. So I could experiment on myself so I didn't take risks with my clients. So I managed to move forwards incredibly quickly in terms of what I actually learned. But I've been doing this for almost 10 years now.
Awesome. So talk more about the whole cartoon piece. So you with the blue dog and the cartoon, how did you get into a cartoon?
Right, yeah, that was really, really interesting. In fact, I think that the noise is coming from you, Ted. I can hear it as well. It's like a radio in the background.
Let's try this.
Yep. Sorry, Ted, it was you. I do apologize. Why am I apologizing? It's not my fault. I was a blue dog in a cartoon because my wife and I decided that we wanted to do something together when our daughter was born. So we created a blue dog and a yellow koala as this animated cartoon series. And it was really, really lovely. It was at the beginning of the internet, 1998. You had still AOL. And we built up this blue dog and yellow koala as a cartoon series on the internet from 0 to 5 million visits a month in 2007. And then we made a TV series that was aired in 25 countries. So it was a really, really, really enjoyable experience. I was a blue dog, my wife was a yellow koala, and my daughter was a blue dog as well in my family. And it was just immense fun and very, very rewarding. And a successful business for that matter.
Wow.
Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, you mentioned this. You were showing up as the blue dog, and that's not how you wanted to show up. So, I know we're going to get into the five strategies here, but what's something that somebody can do if they find themselves in the same situation that they're showing up as something they don't want to show up as, and they want to present a better brand?
Well, yeah, I mean, the fundamental question here is, why is Google showing that? Google is like a child, and we educate it. And so what Google is showing is what it has understood and what it believes is useful, valuable, and helpful to your audience. So in my case, it was saying, I've understood this guy was a cartoon blue dog, and therefore I will show that in the results. And then I needed to educate it to say, actually, the blue dog is in the past, and today, what is much more important is my digital marketing career. So what I then did is I had my own website. So I ensured that on my own website, which we call the entity home, which is for Google where I live on the internet. And it goes there and it looks for information about me from me. And then I gradually educate Google to say, well, I want you to show my articles on digital marketing. I want you to show my podcast. I want you to show my Twitter feed. I want you to show my LinkedIn. And what that does is gradually demote the blue dog to a small part of the brand SERP. So the blue dog still exists. It's still part of my existence. It's still part of my Google business card, but it's dominated by what I'm doing today. So it's all about educating Google. And when we come to the 5 strategies that we all need to apply online, it's all about educating these machines, whether it be Google, Amazon, Bing, Microsoft, Apple, Twitter, Facebook, it doesn't matter. They all have this same approach, is they need to understand who you are, what you do, and who your audience is, if they are to represent you correctly to your audience, who are a subset of their users.
Awesome. So people are learning some new terminology today about the brand SERP and making sure you show up correctly on the internet, or show up as you want to show up. So let's talk about your company. You're the founder and the CEO of Calicube. Who would you say your ideal client is, and how specifically do you help them?
Yeah, well, we've actually got 2 ideal clients, which is slightly strange. Is that we have an agency offer where our ideal client is an online reputation management agency, a PR agency, or a digital marketing agency, who work to help their clients improve their brand SERP, their brand SERP, search engine results page, for their brand name. Or we actually work as an agency and we help our clients to improve their brand SERP, SERP, Google business card, directly with them. So from our perspective as a company working directly with clients, our ideal client would be a football star. It would be a business leader, company owner, anybody who feels that somebody will Google their name in order to figure out whether they want to do business with them, or in the case of a football star, research them to make sure the information is accurate. And from an agency perspective, our ideal customer is another company who does exactly that same job.
Got you. Okay. All right. Well, people, they're on the edge of their seats, Jason. They want to know. They're like, okay, let the cat out of the bag already. What are those 5 digital marketing strategies that can help to move the needle? So let's start talking about that.
Right, yeah, that's great. I mean, I come from the SEO world, search engine optimization, and the idea there is we get to the top of Google for keywords, for things that people search for. And typically in the SEO world, what people go for is buy red shoes. Where can I find blue widgets? It's those search terms that are going to lead to a sale from somebody who has never heard of the company. Now, in marketing, offline or online, the most important thing, the single most important thing, is your brand. You need to focus on your brand, representing your brand to your audience to demonstrate to them that you can bring value to them to solve their problems. And if you do that successfully as a marketer, there is no reason you cannot do it online as a digital marketer. So it's simply, digital marketing is simply taking your normal marketing and packaging it up for the digital world. And from that perspective, it actually becomes incredibly simple as a concept. And then the simple question is, how do I package it? So if we come back a step, number one, top priority is your brand. And your brand message is measured by your brand's search engine results page on Google. Google reflects its opinion of the world's opinion of you. And if you think about it, Google's opinion of you is probably the most accurate opinion of what your digital ecosystem, what your brand looks like online to your audience when they're hanging out on these different platforms. So number one is brand. You asked me for 5, so I'm going to try to count them down. Number 2 is your entity home, where your brand lives online. So it's your website. Do your spring cleaning. Take care of your website. That's really important. Obviously, it's important to your audience because your audience who are coming to your website know who you are. They're ready to do business with you. You want to give them the best experience you can. But also, Google's looking there for the information about you and looking there to see, are you a good solution for its users? So your website is number 2. I'll try and move more quickly through this. Number 3 would be communicating with your audience, top, middle, bottom of funnel on social media. Social media is an incredible signal to Google. Google follows and tracks all of this stuff, but it's also a great way to reach out to your audience. You need to figure out where they're hanging out, what they're talking about, what their worries are, what solutions you can bring, and communicate with them on the social platform where they're already hanging out, not the one you like. Number 3, I would suggest video. Something that a lot of people don't do. It seems scary, but we're doing video now. It just means booting up your computer, turning on the camera and doing something and being confident about it. So video is truly important because it's multimedia. It does obviously image, it does sound. You can pull text out of it. Google understands it. Google's getting more and more multimedia. If you look in the Google search engine results page, you will see a lot of video. You will see a lot of images. You want to create that multimedia so that Google can then project your brand message through its search engine results page to the subset of its users who are your audience. And the last one would be to build Google's understanding of you. And that's what we do at Calicube Pro, is we build up Google's understanding. We educate Google who you are, what you do, and who your audience is, because that is the key. Google is such a massive player. You can't sidestep it. You have to focus on Google at some point during your digital marketing strategy. That was 5.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've got to start with your brand. You've got to look at your entity home or your website. You need to communicate with your audience. Make sure you're using video effectively, and then build Google's understanding of you.
That was a brilliant summary. I like that because it sounds really simple when you say it. It didn't sound like that when I said it, did it?
No, I mean, I think this is great. So now, of those 5, what do you find to be the most the most common stumbling block for people?
What's interesting is people tend to completely overlook the entity home, their own website. That's the biggest stumbling block, is that people overlook it. And then when you say to them, you need to focus on that, they say, oh, well, it's not that important, or I want to really go out on social media and do some exciting stuff. So the actual biggest stumbling block is the simplest thing in the entire lot. And it's the single most important one because it also helps with Google's understanding. So yeah, the biggest stumbling block is the one that really shouldn't be.
And that's just really having the website properly optimized.
Yep. And having it optimized doesn't mean technical, development, site speed. It doesn't mean you need a developer. It means that your content has to match the needs of your audience. You need to provide adequate, understandable, helpful solutions to your audience when they're searching on Google, but even when they're coming from your social media campaigns. They're still looking for some kind of solution. If they're coming to your website, you have to have a clear solution that you can offer them that will truly help them solve their problems.
Awesome. And what can people do to build Google's understanding of them?
Yeah, great question, because the first thing, we could keep coming back to it, it's that entity home, it's the website. And once you've got that solid, then the next step is to say, well, what are other people saying about me? What is there out there on Wikipedia, Wikidata, Crunchbase, LinkedIn, Forbes magazine, whatever it might be? Does it corroborate? Does it confirm what I'm saying on my entity home on my own website? And if it isn't, I need to correct it. We need to give a clear image. Google's a child, it wants to understand. And just like a child, when you're educating the child, you need to explain it once, but then you need to get that explanation repeated by multiple trusted sources. For the child, it would be grandma, it would be the sister, it would be the history teacher, it would be the head teacher, the baker, whatever it might be. And for you as a company, it would be Crunchbase, it would be Wikipedia, it would be Forbes, it would be the New York Times, whatever it might be. So from that perspective, if you want to build up Google's understanding, it really is as simple as that. Make it clear on your entity home or your website, whichever one it is, whichever one you want to call it, rather. And then make sure that all those trusted sources that Google's looking at corroborate what it is you're saying. And once again, that's exactly what we do at Calicube.
Okay, great. And so, in addition to being the Brand SERP Guy, you're an author. You wrote the book, The Fundamentals of Brand SERPs for Business. What inspired you to write a book?
I was really curious to see how Google would react, because a book is a kind of pretty solid piece of information for Google, for the child to understand. So I wrote the book in order to see how the child would react, because I was a musician in the past and now I become an author. Can I get Google, the child, to understand that I'm no longer a musician, I am now an author, and how long will it take me? So I wrote the book and convinced the child, I'm not a musician anymore, I'm now an author. And it took me 6 months to write the book and 2 weeks to convince the child that I'm an author and not a musician. So it was an experiment.
That's interesting. I've never heard Google referred to as a child, but definitely it makes
sense. It's a child.
Yeah.
It's a child who's starting its learning journey, and our role is to educate this child about our little corner of the internet, and it's our responsibility. If we don't do that, Google will not understand. And if it cannot understand, it cannot possibly deliver us as a solution to its users when they're searching for a solution to their problem.
It just seems like this is a lot of moving pieces to this.
Yes.
I mean, do you know of people that successfully manage everything at a high level by themselves without help, or what do you see there?
That's a really great question. I mean, you said without any help. The only person I know is me, and I do it, and I can do it. And without help, what I've now realized is that I did consultancy and helped people with this and said, I can teach you to fish. And if I can teach you to fish, then you can eat, and all that kind of whole story behind that. And what it turns out is, although it sounds very simple, and I feel it's relatively simple, there are too many moving parts. And that's a really, really good point. And I literally realized that 2 weeks ago, that there are far too many moving parts. People can't keep track of it. And I've got a lot of experience, so it helps me to make sense of it and simplify it all in my own mind. But once again, from our perspective at Calicube, we're trying to help people do this properly. So whether you're an agency looking to help other people with this work, that's what we're here for, to support you with that. And if you're looking for somebody to support you and help you directly, that's exactly what we do at Calicube.
Awesome. Yeah, then you throw in like all of the Google algorithm changes.
Yeah.
And you almost need a person that that's all they do is sit there and watch that and pay attention, so that you're freed up to run the day-to-day of your business.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Google say themselves, there are 3,000 updates a year. So that's 10 a day. There are 15 major updates to Google every year. Keeping track of that is impossible. And what we have at Calicube is 70,000 companies and people in a database with 500 million data points. And we track all of this so that we know when Google's shifting, when it's changing, when its perception changes. And we come back to this idea of a child. The child's perception changes as it grows. We need to adapt our strategy to that changing perception.
No, very well said. Well said. So in addition to the book, you've also got the podcast with Jason Barnard. So this is your 4th year of doing the podcast?
Yeah, I actually started the podcast. This is another silly story as well, because I wanted to go around the world. And I asked my accountant, if I just go to lots of different conferences, can I just put it on company expenses? And they said, no, the tax people are going to get on your back about that. And I said, if I can create content from each and every conference I go to, can I then put it on the company? And they said, yes, because we have something concrete to show for your expenses. So I actually started the podcast purely to go around the world and turned up at conferences uninvited and just interviewed people, whether they liked it or not, and got phenomenal knowledge from people, got to travel around the world twice, and we're now online and I stay at home. But it was a really, really, really enjoyable experience. And I'm so glad that the tax authorities wouldn't allow me just to go to conferences without actually producing anything, because it made me do the podcast. And the podcast has taught me vast amounts over the last 4 years.
So what can people expect when they tune in?
We call it intelligent, interesting, and fun. And basically the idea is people come along, it's like this, we have a conversation and we chat about whatever they know the most about, which is basically the same format as this podcast. It's fun, it's intelligent, it's informative, it's helpful. So your podcast and my podcast, I think we're on pretty much the same plane.
Oh, man.
Not plane as in aeroplane, as in grassy plain on the top of a plateau, whatever it's called.
So it sounds like you're like us. Like we learn so much from just the guests, and I find myself, I'm in another, I'll be maybe in a coaching conversation and I'll mention something that one of the guests said to me. That's like the perfect solution. I'm sure you run into that as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then you say, oh, I heard that. And you push it into the conversation. The trickiest thing for me, Eric, is that I can't always remember the person's name who said it to me. And I really want to give people credit. When somebody's told me something, I want to make sure that I say, well, I got this. Here's a piece of information for you, but I learned it from this person. And I think as well, I was talking to a guy called Bill Slawski in our industry about how people remember things. And we remember things by hooking them onto other things we already know. So if I can remember the information you give me, I can potentially remember your name. And if I can remember your name, I can potentially remember multiple pieces of information you give me. And if I can remember both your names, I'm pretty sure I will remember this entire conversation, because we hook one piece of information onto a piece of information we have already understood. So my new technique for today will be to remember Eric and Ted, and then try to walk my way back through the entire episode. See if I can do it later on. Probably not.
There you go. So what's next on the horizon for you?
A lot of work, building up Calicube, getting what I really want to do in life is really understand how we can educate Google as though it were a child, how I can really get into its mind and show it and educate it about myself and my clients, whoever I happen to be working for. And as I said earlier on, evolve with it as it grows, because it's growing incredibly quickly. It uses a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and that means it's growing exponentially in terms of intelligence and in terms of knowledge. And if you want an idea of how much knowledge Google has, it has an encyclopedia in its little brain. It's a child with this massive memory that it doesn't forget anything. Wikipedia has 55 million articles. Google in its brain has 1,500 million facts. And it's growing exponentially year after year. And if you don't educate it about your little corner of the internet, your little facts, you're going to be dead in the water in terms of what Google is going to be showing about you. Don't leave it up to the child. The child doesn't understand. The child isn't in your mind. It doesn't understand what you want to present. You have to educate it. So I want to learn to educate this child. That is my driving ambition. And it's an ambition that I don't think I'll ever get to the end of, but I'll die happy whether I've got there or not.
Oh, man. All right. So we are at the final segment. It's called Write This Down. And this is where we each go around and give a final takeaway that we want the entrepreneurs that are watching and listening to us to write down so they can level up. So, Jason, you're the guest of honor. What should the people write down?
Right. I would suggest that you write down, search your own brand name, look at the brand message that Google's projecting back to you, and see if it's what you expected it. If it isn't what you expect, you need to correct Google. You need to work to make sure that that brand SERP, that Google business card, reflects your brand message in your words back to you when your audience searches your brand name. That's the takeaway. Write it down. Bit long. Make your Google business card representative. How about that?
Fantastic. Make your Google business card your representative. All right. Ted?
Just sounds like you got to have a strategy, right? You got to have a strategy, just like in everything, in every aspect of your business. Before it was the internet, it was you had to have your marketing plan and strategy, right? So now you got this digital platform, right? Now you have to come up with a way to come up with your strategy on how you can maximize that. And so again, someone like Jason Barnard can sit down and kind of help you figure out, what you're trying to get accomplished and some lessons learned. So so I say write this down. You need to get in touch with Jason Barnard, let him help you out with your digital strategy for marketing.
Brilliant. What I really like about that is it's actually the digital strategy for your marketing, as opposed to digital marketing, which is what you just said. Sorry, I'm repeating what you said. But that idea that it's marketing, it's just on a digital platform, is phenomenally powerful. That's a great point, Ted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's having that strategy is the key. It keeps you from spinning your wheels and moving in the wrong direction. Man. So my piece has everything to do with the brand. And the brand, one of the best definitions I heard for a brand is that it's the experience that people expect to get when they come across you or to come across your offering. And I think you have to be aware of how you're showing up. I think whether you're talking about online, whether you're talking about at a networking event, whether you're talking about at a meeting in life. So I think it only makes sense that you're aware of what your brand is. And I think you can have a brand by design, or you can have the default brand, right? Because even if you don't know what it is, you still have one.
That's right.
You're still showing up in a certain way. I think some people may think because I'm unaware of my brand, I don't have one, but you do have one. And I think it's critical that you focus on what your brand is, and if you need help, if you need to get adjacent in your life, which I would recommend, that you do that. So you're intentional about how you're showing up and what message you're sending to your customers.
Right, I love that. Be intentional about how you're showing up to your customers. Design your brand. Don't take the default. I love that. That's great. I'll be quoting you, Eric, and I've just got to remember your name when I say it to a client.
There you go. All right. Well, yeah, this has been a very informative episode.
Brilliant.
Of the 30-minute hour podcast. So hopefully you guys were writing this down, and you're going to go back and apply the 5 strategies that we talked about earlier. If you're just tuning on, you need to hit the rewind button and go back and listen out for those 5 strategies that Jason shared for us today that can go back and help you to move the needle in your business. So, Jason, thank you for sharing what you shared. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
You Google my brand name, my personal name rather, not my brand name, or it is my brand name to some extent. You search Jason Barnard and you look at the results and you choose how you want to interact with me. The best brand SERP, the best Google business card gives my audience the perfect choice of where they want to interact with me. On my website for personal information, on Twitter if you want to tweet to me, on LinkedIn, on my company website, calicubes.com, through my articles on Search Engine Journal, through my podcast. That is the perfect brand SERP. Gives your audience the choice where they want to interact. Sorry, Ted.
That's perfect.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. All right. Definitely want to thank Jason Barnard for being our guest today.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to share the show.
Share the show.
That's right. Don't keep these 5 strategies a secret. Make sure you share the show so others can benefit. You want to be like a candle. Just if you take a candle, when a candle lights another candle, the candle doesn't lose anything, right? So be like the candle. Just share the show. You don't lose anything from sharing great information.
That's right.
Fantastic.
That's right.
All right. So that's our time for this week. Again, thank you to Jason. Make sure you go back on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and listen to this episode. And don't forget to register for the Moving the Needle Summit on Saturday, July 16th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern. Until next time, have a great one.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ted. Brilliant.